All right, Casey Oxendine, I am here at the GLC 2000 booth with Don the Predator Fry. Man, you know, last year at the Arnold's, I so much wanted to be here because I found out my co-host had gotten an interview with you. You called me up on the telephone, and I actually got a personalized telephone call from Don Fry. I was so excited. Talk about what you're doing here with GLC 2000 and what's new with Don Fry.
We're just here looking at the girls, you know. Yeah, have you seen what they got walking around there? It's pretty good eye candy.
Well, there you have it. So let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about the history of Don Fry in the sport of mixed martial arts. Of course, you started out big-time tournament champion there in the early UFCs. Talk about your biggest moments back when you went into the UFC and really how you got started and how you were brought in to actually be a participant in that tournament.
Well, yeah, I did wrestle in college and a couple international matches, and then I did about a year or so of pro boxing and got out of sports altogether. And I was a fireman on my days off. I was shoeing horses, and then I started taking up judo just to relieve what little tension I had at home. Wasn't a great marriage, so had to get rid of some a little anger. So then Dan Severn, I called him up one day. Can you get me in on this? And he said, yeah. So Dan got me a few fights across the country, and I did that, and then I helped him train for the Ultimate One, and he won, and then he gave my name to Bob Meyerowitz, and they called me up.
You know, with that tournament format that they used to have there in the early UFCs, I mean, that had to be a huge strain on your body because, of course, even in a grappling tournament, wrestling tournament, it's tough. I mean, you've got guys throwing heavy leather at you. Talk about that experience, and there at the end, with that final match going in, what's your body feeling like?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's like having sex with the wrong woman, you know? You get to the point where you didn't even warm up on that last fight. You just took off your T-shirt. You know, you're pretty much shot, and took all you can do just to get your ass out there and get the job done.
Now we've had spent some time with Ken Shamrock in our studio. To me, probably the most high-profile fight that you ever had was with Ken Shamrock over there in Pride. That was a huge build-up, and a lot of people there were a lot of talk underneath that says that there was true heat, and a lot of people said that it was kind of build up, almost like a pro wrestling style. I want to go behind the scenes and find out what the real deal was. Like, did you have some legitimate heat with Ken Shamrock, and how much of that was orchestrated, and when you got into the cage, how serious were you about taking him out?
Oh, well, hell, I was real serious. I mean, you get in the ring with Ken Shamrock, you better be serious, Guy's tougher than nails, and hell, it took all I could do to keep from crawling out of the ring there at the end, Shit, it was, it was my fault. I said stuff I shouldn't have said, in order to build the fight. And but you had to do that against Ken because against Ken he gets emotionally psychotic, and he doesn't think clearly. So that's how you attack Ken. You go for the emotions, and then that's the only way to survive a fight with that guy.
All right, well, let's talk about a few of the more recent names in the sport. For one, let's bring up Alistair Overeem. This is a guy who is very, very high profile. Of course, he got popped for the performance enhancing. He made his return. He lost. He dropped that big fight to Bigfoot Silva. What is your take on this guy, and what the future holds for his place in the sport?
Well, hell, he's a big giant. He can do whatever he wants. And if there's performance enhancing drugs, who gives a shit? It's part of the sport. It's part of any pro athletes, any professional athletic organization. And if you think there's not performance enhancing drugs, then shit, they do it in golf even. Come on.
So what you're saying is the lure that a lot of people think that the guys are all on it, and then they kind of taper off as they get closer to testing time. What you're saying right here, right now, that's your belief, and that's what you pretty much say it goes on.
Well, I say, who cares? They're doing something positive for the economy, rather than sitting on their ass and getting a check from the government. They're producing money, so that's what we need. And then, if you're going to think what's legal and what's not legal, look at the goddamn government. They're so corrupted, they don't even hide it anymore. And they're going to worry about some guy taking testosterone? Come on.
Well, We're talking about Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman, who is Paul E. Dangerously back in the day. That's his kind of his spokesperson, manager, Brock Lesnar's. And they were talking to him, and they said that Brock Lesnar held a spot to be in the top 5 greatest of all time. I know you're a huge fan of Brock Lesnar. Let's talk about Brock Lesnar a little bit.
Well, that guy's a waste of flesh. I never met such an asshole in my life. Anyway, God damn it. I can't formulate the words. It just pisses me off so bad. We wasted all that time pumping him up, and they hand-fed him. I think that Randy Couture and Frank Mir threw the goddamn fight. Because I know Randy's a much better wrestler than Lesnar ever thought about being, and Frank Mir could have been the greatest fighter of all times if he didn't get in that motorcycle accident, and there's no way either one of those guys should have lost to Lesnar. So I think they threw the fight.
Have you ever had any personal interaction with Brock Lesnar yourself?
Yeah, he's a cousin of a guy who used to be a friend of mine, Brad Reagans. Brad Reagans got me into pro wrestling over in Japan, and so they're like second cousins or something like that. So I've had a couple of dinners with Lesnar, had a couple of drinks with him, and found him to be a complete asshole.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Well, let's talk about the future of Don Frye, man. You're here tonight. Are you going to be out and about appearing anywhere else? Have you planned to maybe get back into the cage at all? Because I'll tell you, we talked to Dan Severn a while back, and he was saying, before his retirement, he had planned to fight a few more fights before he wrapped things up. And then there was a talk about maybe a return of the legends. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, if there was a thought in your mind about possibly getting back into the sport, just here and there, just a fight or two with a few of those legends, would there be anyone that you would consider stepping in there with?
Whoever brings the wheelbarrow full of money, hell. I had World Fighting Championships called me last week about maybe fighting Ken again. Yeah. See, it's June or July, something like that, which is kind of fast, you're going to fight Ken, you better get your ass in shape, and I'm going to go over there to Japan and do a pro wrestling match with Muda for All Japan Pro Wrestling, It'll be Muda and myself in a tag match against Takayama and his partner, and so we'll do that. See, that's March 17th, and then I'll come back and get my butt in shape and see what happens.
Well, there you have it. One-on-one right here at the Arnold Classic with the legendary Don the Predator Frye. Thank you so much.
Thanks.